What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in again, but there has been quite a few changes since the last video you have seen. With that being said, you can see what's behind me, and if you've been following my Instagram for quite some time, I'm going to put it right here below. You'll know that it's not my first rodeo with this chassis. This is not really the way I wanted to introduce this chassis back to my channel, but here we have an 01 B5 S4. As you guys can see, it's already on jack stands. So I took delivery of this car about 2 weeks ago. It is running great. Don't get me wrong, it is running great. But I drove it the one day, I came back and I saw a little bit of a leak kind of right here, and we're investigating it. So upon investigating it, it looks like the oil cooler seal, which is like right here, is leaking a little bit. So I have to order some parts, and this is why it's been taking a little bit to get. Got everything in. I got the oil cooler seal. I got new coil packs as well. I'm going to show you guys everything that we'll be doing to it. And then I also have some factory B5 S4 seats I picked up from a local friend, Barry. Dropped them off at the house the other night. And I'm going to go over this car and show you guys what it's about. So here we have the infamous 2.7, okay? This one is a little bit more built than my last two that I had. Of course, if you guys go back on my Instagram, you'll see that I had a laser red B5 S4 and also had a pearl white B5 S4 owned at the same time. Great cars, don't get me wrong. But if something goes wrong with these things, you have to pull pretty much the entire motor out and work on them. But this one I bought from a friend in Michigan. He owned it for 7 years. And this has a built bottom end. It's running RS6 turbos, and it's on E85. So this one is making a little bit more power than the previous ones. It's got a twin disc clutch in it and some other upgrades. Today, we're going to be doing an oil change. We're going to be doing an oil filter, a new oil cap, because I suspect that this one is leaking. It's not really tight. And then on top of that, there was oil running down here in between the coil packs and leaking on top of the valve cover. And then I suspect it could be this, or it's going to be that oil cooler seal, which after speaking to a few buddies that own this thing, they said that that is a common leak as well. So we're going to figure that out today. I'm going to show you the parts that I got, and then we're going to go over the rest of the car. So if you guys can see right here, it's kind of wet, and there's actually still a little bit of residue there that looks like it's relatively new. So we're going to be changing that oil cooler seal, and hopefully that's going to be the issue. And there's nothing else that really seems wet under here. Just a little bit, but nothing crazy. So I'm going to see if we can fix that, and then don't mind the Tiffany blue powder coating. That was not me, that came like that. Here's everything that we need. The ET Spec R8 conversion coil pack kit for the B5 S4. Comes with all the brackets and hardware, 6 R8 coil packs, the ICM plug and play delete kit, and obviously the 6 adapters for the kit. We have the oil cooler seal here, man filter, a new cap. It actually came with a new seal. I bought a new seal just in case. New drain plug, and I only run AMSO in all my cars, so we have everything here, and some dielectric grease. So let's get to work. 19 millimeter for the drain plug on the oil pan. Since we're doing the coil packs, we're gonna have to remove the Y pipe, and that's 3 T30s, and then 8 millimeter to loosen the lobster claws to get the Y pipe off. I'm trying to record all this while I do it in process. So this is the ICM delete kit. It comes just like this, and then you pull these little pins out that hold the connectors in on the old ones. So to the right here, that's how the ICM is on the old one, and this is the new one here. So it's pretty straightforward. You pull the pins out, pins pop up, and then you put the new one in and secure it with the clips. To take off the oil filter cooler nut here, it's a 27 millimeter. I already have it loose because I just took it apart, but 27 millimeter. So I tried to get the cooler off without having to take the coolant lines out. That didn't happen, and then I got soaked in coolant. So you're gonna have to remove these lines to kind of get that out, because it's just not gonna let you pull it far enough with the lines attached, unfortunately. So just an FYI, I found out the hard way. but you live and learn, and this is how you work on stuff on yourself. Well, let's just say I'm glad I'm doing the oil cooler seal, because this is the new oil cooler seal. This is the old one. See a difference? I think so. Cleaned it up a little bit while we had it out. Just a little brake clean and clean some odds and ends, but yeah. The one side was completely busted. And then I don't know if it was a revised part or what, but this other one had 0 centerpiece, like none. So here's the new seal. New seal is nice and snug in there. It looks like we're good to go for the oil cooler seal. I'm very, very happy we did that, because the seal around this thing is like non-existent, and clearly it's broken in multiple places. So there we go. There we go. It's back in there. That actually went in a lot easier than I thought. The coolant line just slid right back on. Being that they were a little moist still, that's, I'm assuming, why it helped. But we got everything tightened up. Got the 27 mil bolt back in there, and we cleaned this up a little bit. So let's continue. I'm actually gonna work on the coil packs next, and then I'm gonna run out and get cooling, because I didn't think I was gonna lose everything, and we'll go from there. So all 3 passenger side coil packs are coming out. Just gotta lift the tab up and slowly pull the connectors out, and they come out. So very easy, and you can change the spark plugs if you'd like. All good. And number 3, you gotta get the pipe out of the way to get to the front passenger side coil pack. And again, nice little wiggle, and everything should come out nice and easy. I'm just applying a little bit, very, very little dielectric grease right here on the bottom of the boot. Okay, don't stuff it in there, don't overload it, just very little. It provides a seal at the bottom with the plugs. So again, very, very little. I'm just spreading it in there just to make sure it's equal throughout the entire boot. And then when you place it in there, nice and slow, don't be forcing it in there. If it's not going, you can pull it back out and just make sure that it's seating properly. Again, this stuff should not be forced in there. Again, nice and wiggle, you get it there, seat it properly, and there you go. The wires that come with this kit are really long, and after speaking to some friends, they placed the coil packs the other way so they could just leave some room for the slack, because it's super long. And if you have it this way, honestly, what are you gonna do with all that wire? So I'm gonna run it this way for now and see how it works once I put it back together. But I think this is the direction that we're gonna go with. And let me just make sure that this is correct. Everything, again, don't be forcing everything. Everything is very, very fragile, and look at that, clips right in, and that's how it's gonna sit. Okay, everything's snug. I just gotta get the hardware in there, and there's number 1. The hardware provided with the kit is a 5mm. I broke a set that I had for ratchets and I had to return it, so I'm using just handheld Allen. Just make sure everything seats in there properly before sending it, whichever you decide to do. Just needs a little, there we go. And of course, you don't want to drop hardware in the open holes that you got, so just be careful with that. Take your time, no need to rush. Of course, make sure it's lined up, because right there it wasn't. There it is. Nice and simple, nice and simple. If you'd like, you can also install the bracket first and then just put the coil pack in there after, if you'd like, just so everything is centered. And again, there's no reason to push hard. Just nice and comfy, okay? Don't go crazy. You can hear it too. Boom, there you go. You could even hear the click. Nothing nuts. Same thing with the other side. And the only reason I say you can do the bracket first is because when I did this bracket, this wasn't seated all the way, and I heard a nice click, and that was it. So again, nice, snug, and then you can connect everything else. This is what I just found out with the one closest to the front of the vehicle. I have to pop it out real quick and show you. So the connector is actually going to hit the bolt hole that holds the metal intercooler pipe. So I'm gonna have to flip this one upright, and there's just gonna be a lot of slack for the front coil pack. Oh, that's kind of, gotta work with what you got, I guess. Passenger side is complete. This is gonna annoy me, but I had no choice because it was hitting this bolt, well, the connector is gonna hit this bolt area, and I wouldn't be able to bolt the intercooler pipe back down. So I had to flip it, and I don't wanna flip every single one of them because it's gonna have an excess amount of plug wire, and this one was able to be placed under here. So passenger side is complete. Let's move on to the driver's side. Driver's side doesn't look all that bad. Going to have to do the same thing. At least for this one, I can leave the pipe connected. I have to move the coolant tank, and I think that should do it for this side. It'll be a T25 for the coolant expansion tank. I want to get that out of the way. Of course, being a 24-year-old vehicle and buying other people's things, I'm not saying, it was anybody's fault, but it's missing 2 out of the 3 screws holding this tank in, so I'm gonna have to get replacement screws for that. But these are, again, T25. My apologies, the coolant tank's in a perfect spot for it to just stay right there. Another thing is that I lost all the coolant because I was replacing the seal down below. So this is very helpful that I don't have to worry about a full expansion tank trying to replace the coil packs. Like I said, I spoke to early, you're gonna have to loosen the intercooler pipe to get to the coil pack there. So I'm gonna get that out of the way real quick before we start doing the driver's side. And it's relatively loose to begin with, so let's get that out of the way and move on to removing the hardware for the coil packs. And that bolt size for the intercooler pipe is a 10 millimeter. So 10 millimeter to loosen the pipe. If you're wondering why I chose to do the R8 conversion kit by AT Spec, is because when I was looking for the oil leak, I noticed that this coil pack on the driver's side pretty much was broken. The gasket was just sticking out and there was a crack here at the top. So I figured, well, when I'm looking at this, I don't want to drive the car like that. So that's why we're doing this conversion kit now and making sure everything is working as it should. I'm not gonna bore you guys with this side as well. It's literally the mirror image of the passenger side. So pull the clips up, very nice and slow. Do everything, at your own pace. Don't rush, because these are brittle cars and you might break something. So just take your time. Again, if you need to watch the process, just rewind the video and watch how the passenger side is done. It's the exact same way. Here's a close-up of the coil pack I was showing you. So the gasket was pretty much not in place and looks like it expanded over time, and it doesn't even seat there properly. And then on this side, you can tell that the bracket's even bent upward because it broke. So good time to replace these. Obviously, you want to make sure everything is running tip-top. So there was the one issue, but when there's an issue like this, you want to make sure that you replace everything and not just the one. I noticed this one was missing the clip entirely. It was the most rear on the driver's side. So there's another reason why I wanted to replace everything, even though I had no idea this clip was missing until now. And look at that, it's actually cracked. See, the more things you notice when you start to replace stuff, that's bad. All right, everything's back together. Nothing like a little bit of cuts, but got everything bolted back together. The Y pipe screws are all in. Again, make sure that 10 millimeter that holds your intercooler pipe in place is back in. Everything is tightened up. So I don't think I'm forgetting anything. I'm gonna run to the store right now and grab some coolant and then grab some distilled water if I don't get a mixture already. I like to get the concentrated one, usually do it myself. So I think everything is good so far. So let me run to the store and we'll be back and make sure we fill up the coolant first, so there's no leaks there at the oil cooler where I put the lines back into. And then once we make sure there's no leaks there, then we'll put oil in it and put a new filter on it and put oil in it, and I think we should be wrapped up. Back with some coolant. Went to AutoZone and just picked this up. I usually use Xerix, but this will do. It is pink coolant. It'll give you the years and stuff of what you can use it for. So that covers us right there. 96 to 07. Got some distilled water, and we're gonna mix her up. Again, that's concentrated, so going to have to mix it up with distilled water. You can buy ones pre-mixed, it's more expensive, but I like doing it this way. Just gonna let the coolant run through. It's gonna be a little bit, so I'm not gonna bore you guys with this, but while this is going on, I'm gonna put on the new oil filter, pending any leaks underneath from the coolant. But so far it looks like it's dry, and we're just gonna let this settle. Looks like the coolant stopped for now, but on to the next topic. I got a new oil cap. It did come with a new gasket, so we're gonna install that as well. But before we do, we need to put oil in it. So I use AMSOIL 5W40. I use AMSOIL in everything. This is not a sponsored ad by any means, because I use this in probably every single car I've had, and it's never done me wrong. Everything's been great and always tested accurately, so we will do that. But as far as the oil cap goes, I had a little bit of a drip from the oil filler that went down the valve cover and over, so I'm assuming this could have been the culprit. So I threw the old one out. I got a new one, and I do have a spare gasket that I bought because I wasn't sure if this came with one, but it did. So let's put the oil in and see where it goes. And I think it calls for 6.9 quarts. I'm gonna put 7 in, remeasure, and see where we go from there. In reference to replacing the oil cap, the other oil cap compared to this one was so loose. This one is super tight. I threw the other one out already, otherwise I'd show you, but wow. Definitely make sure your oil cap is good. I'll check the level real quick, make sure we're good. Nice and clean. right, let's run it quick. Good. I forgot to plug in the PCV valve in the back, so I got that in now. Just doing a once over, making sure everything is good. Looks like pull and staying. We're back on the ground off of jack stands. Everything is good. I don't see any leaks. Like I said, this oil cap was nice and snug now compared to what it was before. Coolant level looks good. I'm going to run the car for a little bit, make sure nothing else is leaking, but that's going to be everything for now. The coil packs are looking good, and I'm glad I got that old cracked one, and the one that was missing a lever on there as well is gone. So everything is good. New. Slowly but surely, I'll be making this my own. So that's going to do it for today's upload, guys. I just wanted to show you guys what the B5 S4 was about and being back into this game. My third one. So my third and final one. We're going to make this our own. But stay tuned. It's going to be a giant series of this car because I've said it before, and I know my friends are going to be like, well, you're going to sell it soon. That's the thing. I have the 1 Series. That has become the wife's car, and she is going to be the one driving that. This is going to be my toy and what I'm going to make it my own. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please subscribe and like the video if you guys want to see more content, and I'll see you guys in the next upload. See ya.